is Curtain Call, and I am Maureen Rogers, and today we have some of the cast and crew from Moonlight and Magnolias that will be at Laurel Mill Playhouse starting February the 21st. Why don't you introduce yourselves and tell me what role you have in this?
Okay. I'm Ilene Chalmers, and I am the director of Moonlight and Magnolias.
And I am Ronald Arujo. I'm the assistant director to Moonlight and Magnolias.
Well, it's great to have both of you. So do you want to talk about like how we came to the show to begin with?
Yes, it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be directing The Odd Couple, and we were not able to get the rights. Meanwhile, Ilene always has a bucket list that I keep of shows that I've always wanted to direct. And I was thinking and thinking and thinking. I went, oh, wow, Moonlight and Magnolias. And I brought it up to you. And lo and behold, we are doing it and doing it brilliantly, I think.
Great. So. I'm really looking forward to it. And how did you get Ron involved? Or?
Ron assistant directed with me in the last show that I directed this past fall at another community theater. And it just so happened that the show that we had directed before, which was The Last Night of Ballyhoo, had a connection with Gone with the Wind. And I guess I'm in a Gone with the Wind cycle right now. And but Ron was my assistant director, and he was so fabulous and so wonderful and picked up on so many things. We had one weekend when we didn't have our stage manager, and he learned how to stage manage and call a show.
Oh my gosh.
He's brilliant, and he's so much fun to work with, and we get along great. So that's
super
perfect.
Well, I'm so glad that you all connected. So tell us a little bit about the story of Moonlight and Magnolias without revealing.
Without revealing very much. Basically, it's the story of the producer, David Selznick, the writer, Ben Hecht, and the director, Victor Fleming. And it basically tells the tale of what happened when they were creating the screenplay from Margaret Mitchell's book, Gone with the Wind. And basically what happens is we have our screenwriter who comes in, who's a brilliant screenwriter, was brought in because David Selznick was not happy with The Last Pass. And he stopped production after 3 weeks, and he is desperately looking for this screenplay to be rewritten. And he hires Ben Hecht. Lo and behold, he finds out that Ben Hecht never read the book.
Oh.
And he needs to have this screenplay ASAP. So basically Ben gives him 5 working days. He said, this is what I can give you. And in front of him, because he's never read the book and they didn't have time, he's locked in a room with Victor Fleming, the director, who comes in. He's pulled off the set of The Wizard of Oz. So you've got these kind of like people that are kind of at odds with each other. And Victor Fleming and David Selznick act out the entire book to Gone with the Wind so that Ben Hecht can write the words.
Oh, that is too funny.
And chaos ensues, physical comedy. It is a joy to watch them work.
Oh, I bet, because they're great actors anyhow.
All wonderful actors.
To begin with, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have a secretary in there as well, who is hysterical because she's dealing with these 3 men that are off the chains.
And that's Stephanie Ikonowski, right?
That is Stephanie
And she is
Ikonowski.
brilliant too.
Yes. So we have a wonderful group.
She actually performed in our Cats at Laurel Mill Playhouse in our children's theater many years ago.
I'll be darned. And she was in 12 Incompetent Jurors as
right,
well.
Right.
Yes.
And that was a great show.
She's amazingly talented. I saw her doing an all-female production of Julius Caesar at the Maryland Renaissance Festival, and she totally sold the part.
Yeah, she is
amazing.
just awesome.
Yeah.
She went to the same high school that my daughter did, and so she was always cast, and she had such good roles, and she was a good actress, and I wasn't surprised that she went on and went to NYU, and she's just brilliant.
And now she's getting her master's at
That's right.
Catholic.
That's right.
To become a full-fledged master's in teaching.
Oh, great.
So she will be, using that skill as well, which is wonderful.
So Ron, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you were in the last show that she directed at Laurel Mill Playhouse.
Yes, I was. I was in. I started off back in 2014 doing a cameo in something called Funny Money that Fred had directed. Fred Nelson had directed. And I just kind of got hooked. And after that, I started doing other plays. I was in Man of La Mancha. I played Pedro the Muleteer.
Oh, yeah, right.
I was in 12 Incompetent Jurors as juror number 9, the creepy juror, which was a lot of fun to develop.
I bet. I know, I saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
But not until 2014? That's when you started?
That's when I started, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And Jekyll and Hyde.
And I was also in Jekyll and Hyde as well as
my
Paul.
gosh. Well, you've been acting all your life, evidently.
Actually, I've been playing role-playing games all my life. I just wanted to improve that. That's why I got into acting.
Yeah. Well, that is great. So what have you liked about doing the assistant directing for this show?
I like that you can go ahead and shape how things are told, how the story is told. A little tweak here, a little tweak there, and then suddenly you've got something that's, really well polished that you weren't expecting. Directing and assistant directing is really I'm finding a very, very important part of it. And it's extraordinarily eye-opening for me. It really is.
So do you tweak with looks or mannerisms, voices?
Yeah, sometimes the way a line is delivered, any number of things, maybe emotion or something like that, or maybe you're sitting there watching a rehearsal and then somebody does something and you're like, yes, we're keeping that.
Keep it. Yeah. That's great when that happens.
Yeah.
Ron is wonderful because he bounces things off and he said, let's try it. Let's see how it. And so many. His eye is akin to an amazing machine because he finds the little things that maybe I'm not seeing. So it's great to have a second person to bounce ideas off
Oh
of.
yeah, sure. That's great. I'm so glad that you're doing this.
Yeah.
And maybe you will direct sometime. What do you think about that?
I would love to.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm keeping you in mind.
I think you
we
should.
always
I think
always
you
look
should.
for
That's
directors.
where we were heading to.
Yeah.
So the show starts February 21st and ends March the 15th. The last 2 weekends or Sundays, and then it's Fridays and Saturdays for the 4 weekends. So go to laurelmillplayhouse.org to get your tickets. And I should give like a little preview of who we're going to be talking to next. It's some actors that you'll recognize, maybe that you've seen them at Laurel Mill Playhouse, but also you've seen them at the Renaissance Festival. You've probably seen these guys too, but they are attendees, professional attendees. So one last thing from both of you. Why do you think people should come to see this show?
Oh, for so many reasons. First of all, the physical comedy. It's a special art. And this particular cast is wonderful at what they're doing. The other thing is, if you have any feeling about Gone with the Wind, you need to come see this show because it is everything and more. That's the only thing I can say. It's if you're a Gone with the Wind aficionado, you will be in your glory.
Absolutely.
So.
Not to mention, given how things go as far as politics and stuff like that, this is a great way to get away from it all too.
Oh yes.
It's an excellent escape into the absurd.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And how long do you think the show runs? Do you have a feel for that yet?
Yeah, pretty good feel. I would say 2 hours with a 15-minute intermission.
Great.
So we have great pacing in this show because the lines have to be delivered very quickly.
I am so looking forward to it. So stay tuned, and we'll meet some other actors from the show.
HHV delivers specialty design arts and craft kits that serve as a therapeutic tool to help veterans during their recuperation. They can also help with PTSD. The kits are free and can be sent directly to your home. Call this number or visit hhv.org to learn more.
Hi, welcome back to Curtain Call, and we have some of the actors from Moonlight and Magnolias. So why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us what part you're playing?
My name is Gene Valendo, and I am playing Ben Hecht, the famous Hollywood screenwriter.
I'm Fred Nelson, and I play Victor Fleming, the famous Hollywood director who directed both Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind, ultimately.
So Ilene told us a little bit about the show, but why don't you tell us about your characters and if you are like those people?
Well, Ben Hecht is a former Chicago newspaperman who turned Hollywood screenwriter. He is Jewish. This is a very important and central fact in the show because the show is set in 1939 and bad things are happening in Europe at this point. And he is very much aware of the persecution and the prejudices against Jews, both currently in 1939 and historically. And he's very active in raising money for Jewish Relief, which is looking to provide funds to Jews in certain European countries so that they can escape the persecution. And having experienced prejudice himself, that also gives him a good deal of sensitivity to the plight of the slaves. And he is not happy with the way the slaves are being depicted and treated in Margaret Mitchell's book, Gone with the Wind. So that's also a very central plot. And all of that makes this sound like this is a very serious show. And certainly there are serious elements to it that have relevance to today's society, but it is also a comedy. It's hysterically funny.
It is, yeah.
But it's funny with a social conscience. And Ben Hecht is a very cultured and well-educated man. I wouldn't go so far as to call him a mensch, but he's a good and decent man. Am I like Ben Hecht? I like to think so, but what do I know?
How about you, Fred?
Hi, I'm Fred Nelson, and I play Victor Fleming. Victor Fleming was the director of, and this is this. I was just going to say the same thing Gene said. This sounds like a heavy drama. No, it is a wacky comedy. It's based on real life situations. Victor Fleming was the director of Wizard of Oz, and he was taken off of Wizard of Oz with 2 weeks worth of filming left to go. Somebody else took over Wizard of Oz. He was hauled into Selznick's office with Ben Hecht, because Selznick needed somebody that he could rely on to direct Gone with the Wind instead. And when he arrives, and Gone with the Wind in 1939, that was the biggest thing since sliced bread. Everybody in the world had read the book, Gone with the Wind. Selznick had spent 2 years, a huge publicized public relations campaign, largely public relations because I think he knew who he had in mind, but he spent 2 years on this massive nationwide hunt to find the right actress to play Scarlett O'Hara. And so it was big news. My character is over here directing A Wizard of Oz. Came out the same year. Maybe, okay, yeah, all right, Gone with the Wind, it's really big, but I'm concentrating on Wizard of Oz. Get yanked from Wizard of Oz, come into the office. Why am I here? You're being taken off of Wizard of Oz. You're doing Gone with the Wind, okay? Still, come to find out, everybody in the world has read Gone with the Wind, with the exception of one person. The screenwriter that was called in to write Gone with the Wind. So, and this is based on real life. Selznick makes a conscious decision. I'm locking you guys in. You can't go anywhere. You're under contract. Here's some peanuts. Here's some bananas. Here's some food. There's the bathroom. You're not going anywhere until we completely rewrite Gone with the Wind. And unfortunately, the guy who's in charge of actually writing Gone with the Wind is the only person in the world who hasn't read it. So we spend the entire play teaching him about Gone with the Wind with some delightfully disastrous results.
Yeah. It sounds wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So is there like slapstick?
Slapstick and just
Emphasis on slapping.
slap sans stick. Yes.
Gene and I have worked together in a number of productions over the years. He is my favorite go-to guy at my side. I play the king every year at the Maryland Renaissance Festival, and he has been my Cardinal Wolsey. And then also in The Street a couple of years ago, we actually did a little scene where we stopped being the king and Cardinal Wolsey, and we went out on the street and played Don Quixote and Sancho Panza.
And the year before that, you played the devil.
Yeah, that's true.
And I played a minor demon.
Yeah. So and Tom Sin, who is our third member, he also works at the Renaissance Festival, and the fourth member of the cast, Stephanie Ichniowski, who plays Miss Poppingle, she is also a cast member. So this is like doing this play is like old home week. I get to work with a lot of people that I really enjoy working with, not only on stage as professionals, but they're also great friends. I'm sure you asked me some question that was completely different from where I ended up.
I like where you ended up.
Gene and I are close enough friends that occasionally he can whack me on the side of the head and say, hey, stay on subject.
So why do you think people should come to see this show?
I'm never going to be that poor bastard.
Well, as we both pointed out, it is a very funny show. It has lots of twists, turns, surprises, and just ridiculous moments.
At the beginning of the play, we all walk in and we're all, dressed up, 1930s clothes. I think what a lot of people are going to be surprised at is by the time this thing is over, we almost get into a Lord of the Flies situation here after being stuck in this office for 5 days, looking at nothing but each other, trying to write Gone with the Wind. There is some very interesting character development that has us at each other's throats, basically. But it's lots of fun.
After 5 days of nothing but peanuts and bananas and no sleep.
No sleep.
Well, it was delightful having you both, and I'm
Of
looking
course, we
forward
are
to it.
delightful.
You are delightful.
Yeah.
You were in Man La Mancha,
Yeah.
and you did Harvey with me.
Previous shows at Laurel Mill, I was in Harvey, You Can't Take It With You, and HMS Pinafore.
He just wrapped up a run as Scrooge in A Christmas Carol the musical at another theater, and I mean, we're all in all sorts of things all over the place.
Well, it was great having you, and you do not want to miss this show. These the actors are the greatest, and we're very glad to have you there.
Thank you.
We're having fun.
You are too kind.
We can't wait to open. It's going to be a fun show.
All right, well, stay tuned. We've got one more actor to talk to, and we'll be right back.
Two identical cars leave their identical homes at exactly the same time. One driver pays close attention to their surroundings and obeys the posted speed limit. The other hurries through their neighborhood, going a little bit too fast, not paying attention. A group of children are playing in their front yard, and a ball rolls out into the street. One car stops, and nothing else happens. The other, well, let's just say it can change lives forever. Keep kids alive. Drive 25.
Welcome back to Curtain Call, and we have one more actor with us from Moonlight and Magnolias. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your character is and a little bit about the character.
Happy to. My name is Tom Sin. I've been in the Baltimore area now for about 15 years. Done quite a bit of acting on the theaters in the area. My role in this show is that of David O. Selznick, best known probably for the film Gone with the Wind. He produced that film. Had another Academy Award winner in Rebecca. Selznick in this particular show is intent on putting out absolutely the best film that the world has ever seen. And in order to achieve that goal, he decides that the entire show needs to be rewritten. And in the course of 5 days, he and Victor Fleming and Ben Hecht succeed in doing just that.
Well, from what I hear, it's going to be a fantastic show. It just
I hope so.
makes me laugh. I remember when I read Gone with the Wind for the first time, I was in high school, and I couldn't put it down. I started at about 5 p.m. one day, and I read all through the night.
Right, right.
And it was such a novel to go through. You know, I couldn't read it again because it had taken so much out of me. I've seen the
Exactly.
movie a couple times. You know.
Sure, and the movie will take it out of you too, because that's about a 4-hour epic.
Yeah,
You don't see
yeah.
many of those nowadays. Selznick fell in love with this book, and he was really the only one willing to take the risk on what it was going to take. And it took a number of years before finally, at his own studio, that he was able to produce this epic movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so many people in that movie.
So many, and in fact, if I'm correct, at the time, Gone with the Wind had set the record for the number of extras used. If you think of that incredible shot as the camera pulled back up on the crane of all of those wounded soldiers on the field. There wasn't CG back then to do
Right,
that. That wasn't
right.
green screen. Those were real
Real people,
actors,
yeah.
real people, exactly. But that's what Selznick was all about. He was intent on the detail. Every detail mattered to him. There's even a little something in the show about the shapes of the ice cubes in the glasses.
Oh, my heavens.
Every detail mattered. Otherwise, as far as Selznick was concerned, it was just a bunch of actors standing in front of wood and canvas. And that wasn't good enough for him. Selznick is quoted as saying there are two kinds of movies, either the cheap movies or the expensive movies. And as far as he was concerned, it was worth taking the time, using the resources, and putting in the detail to make the really great movie.
Must have been absolutely incredible going through that back then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, 1939, when Gone with the Wind came out, Technicolor was the big deal. People think of Wizard of Oz and the famous scene where it goes from black and white to color. Well, color films were the new thing back then. They were amazing, revolutionary even. Then you think of something, the scope of Gone with the Wind, and this film that just literally, just as the book sucked people into the pages of that book, this movie just drew people right into the life and times of the Civil War era South.
I think people who've read the book will definitely see some things going along. They'll remember the book,
Oh, yes.
pieces of it. Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, the dialogue in the film was taken from the pages of the book. Again, Selznick was intent on using the original dialogue. Maybe spoken by different characters or used in different scenes, but still original from the book.
Yeah. So you said that you've been in Baltimore area for about 15 years?
I have.
And is that when you started to act, or had you acted before?
Oh, gosh. Let me take you back to when I was 6 years old and in the first grade, in my first stage production as Mr. Rabbit. But I have always been on stage in some fashion, either as a singer or as a stage performer. There's just something about the live theater. It sounds a little cliche, I suppose, and you hear a lot of actors talk about it, but that interaction, that immediate feedback from the audience, the energy that you can get from an audience,
Oh, absolutely.
that just makes such a difference. And when you've got a couple of clowns on stage like Fred and Gene here,
They are a mess.
I really look forward to putting this show together. I've done this show before, actually, a few years
Really?
ago at Spotlighters Theater.
Okay.
And that was a wonderful performance. Spotlighters also a very intimate theater in the round where the audience is right there on top
Right.
of you. And that was a blast. So when the opportunity came to be a part of this production, I jumped at the chance to do this
Yeah.
again. The same role, but
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's, if you love it, do it again.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think this is probably really nice to have this kind of show at Laurel Mill Playhouse because it is so intimate.
Exactly.
You're really going to be able to see expressions and
Right. Right, and the audience being so close, I mean, they just get that sense of being in the office as this story is taking place. So the audience is in for a real treat. A lot of fun, very slapsticky, lots of shtick going on, lots of room to laugh and laugh hard.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it was so nice meeting you.
Thank you.
I know the other actors from before, but I know I'm going to enjoy you in this.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
And it starts February the 21st and ends March the 15th. I think they better get their tickets now.
Absolutely.
It's online.
Sooner the better.
At laurelmillplayhouse.org. And if you have any questions, you can email or you can call me at 301-452-2557. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you at Moonlight and Magnolias.